Hi everyone and welcome to our new look version of Crack at Dawn. With me today is head coach of CrossFit Dawn, James. And today we're going to talk about a few things touching on the Open and where we want to go to Dawn-wise and our focus for the Open next couple of weeks into February. Also, we want to take this opportunity to just get to know James better. And hopefully in the future, we'll be able to have some of our other coaches on the couch and just find out more about them. So without any further ado, James, welcome to Crack of Dawn.
Thank you for having me.
And I think it's an easy way to start. It's just to kind of tell us about your journey with CrossFit. How and when did you find CrossFit and how did you end up at Dawn?
All right. So I reckon it's about 2013. Mm-hmm. I wanted to start Olympic weightlifting. I've been PTing for a couple of years. Did my PT course, learned the general bro movements and things like that. It wasn't too long.
The level 3 PT kind of qualification.
Yeah. So I learned how to do bicep curls and stuff and didn't have much success in that field. So I wanted to start doing something cool. Obviously Olympic weightlifting is absolutely incredible. So the only place close to me which did that was a CrossFit gym. Say a CrossFit gym because it was a CrossFit gym but not CrossFit.
Were they affiliated at all with CrossFit at the time, or did they kind of just find it and like just followed main site workouts?
It was around the time where you could kind of get away without being affiliated and saying that you do CrossFit without them coming down on you like a ton of bricks. But I'm glad that you cleared that up now. Well done. But yeah, it was one of those gyms that said that they do CrossFit. Well, they did CrossFit, right? But it's just not affiliated. Went in for the first session. I think it was like overhead squats and then some kind of Metcon. Like never before done an overhead squat at all in my life. Went in. Obviously had the same mobility issues as everybody else as you starting out. Like you can barely squat anyway. Like, and then you got to hold a bar above your head. There was no like, PVC pipes. There was none of that. It was just like, straight in, go on. There you go, mate.
Grip the bar.
There's a bar. Put it over your head. All right. Dave, can you come and help me hold it up above my head? Like, did the first session and then that was it. It was just like, all right. Oh, I guess I'm doing CrossFit from now on. So we were there for probably 1 or 2 years. Took us into the first Open, which I think was, my first Open was 2014. Mm-hmm. So I had a little bit of like a few workouts under my belt before then. Still couldn't do anything. Was it 2014? So 14.1 was like 10 minutes of double unders and snatches.
Yeah. And everybody was just standing there tripping over the ropes because nobody knew what a double under.
3 pound jump rope, which, breaks when you stand on it and just like, spend 10 minutes trying to do a double under. Obviously the weight on the snatches was far too heavy at that time anyway. So just, terrible form trying to get a double under. And that was my first experience of the CrossFit Open and I loved it.
As we all did. I think also more so because everybody was, the whole vibes for the Opens were always, it was more about the beers and everything afterwards.
Yeah, of course.
Rather than we're here to kind of better ourselves and get onto a
And then there was that video of Dan Bailey come out of him just absolutely smashing through it. And it was just, everyone watching that, just like, it's incredible. That like definitely got us all into CrossFit. So from there, we ended up leaving that gym. And then it was me, a few of my friends, Ben, Holly, Dave and Rach. We bought a couple of barbells, we were down the running track in Weymouth for like a year, I reckon, just running around doing thrusters and running and then overhead squats and running.
And that was all outside, was it?
That was all outside, yeah. Just because we didn't have anywhere else to do CrossFit. There was no other CrossFit gyms around. Ben opened up CrossFit Weymouth. So we all kind of joined there. And then we started getting into coaching a lot more. And then, so CrossFit Weymouth ended up going to like the local school. Mm-hmm. We were just in the school gym for a bit. He was a PE teacher, so he had access to that. And then the tiny little school gym, we went into the sports hall and then, nicking the rowers from the school, putting them in the sports hall for an hour and a half or whatever it was. And then, and then we'd kept on going in there. until lucky enough that Ben opened up CrossFit Weymouth, got a unit in Weymouth. And then I think there was about probably like 10 or 12 people to begin with. Just all mates that we've been working out with for like the last like however long, you know, starting in the park and then finally get a unit and you're just like, yes.
Yeah, we've arrived. We've got a space now.
Yeah. Painting on the walls and stuff and just good times with good friends, you know, and like how I think most CrossFit gyms start out. Yeah. Then I think I was there for a good few years. I went to South America. I played drums in a band, did like a South American tour. Ended up going to CrossFit Bogota over there. At the time, my girlfriend was Colombian, was looking for a place to coach essentially. And then my Jeff from CrossFit Bogota was like, man, I need a coach. I'm like, I'm in. I'm in. Let me come over here. So I was coaching in Colombia for a year. Met some amazing people out there, some good friends. That was my first real like legit CrossFit job in a gym. I was getting paid for being a coach, and it was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome. Just like there was a couple of really good athletes in there. One called Casey, he was absolute diamond of a dude and amazing athlete, and just was training with people who were like much of a much higher standard than me. So it was always had that like wanting to get better, wanting to progress, like learning how to coach. And then we started getting like, then they would have the seminars come. Met a lot of the seminar staff from like the Latin America region back in the day when there was like regionals.
Yes.
So there was the Latin American regionals and stuff, which was cool. And just slowly became more engrossed in CrossFit. Came back to the UK. It was like, I ain't never going to get a job.
Yeah. And nor do you want to do anything else anymore than CrossFit, like, right? Yeah.
I come back to the UK and it was still like such a small thing. It's like blown up over there. You know, it's an American thing anyway. Yeah. So it was really big in the States, really big in Latin America. And South America. I came back to the UK and I'm like, I came back to CrossFit Weymouth and I was like, I can't stay in Weymouth any longer. Like I want to see what's around. Yeah. And I was like, there's no chance I'm getting a job in the UK, like full-time job doing CrossFit, you know? Because it was still relatively new. There was only a few gyms around.
Yeah, this was what, 2016 now? Are you talking 2015?
So what was that 2013, 14, 15? I reckon 2016, maybe somewhere around then. From there, job at Reebok CrossFit Thames pops up. Go in for it straight away. Luckily, I've got a little bit of experience under my belt now. Got the job, moved to London. I think that was within like a year, and next thing I know, I'm in London. Yeah. It was just like, I was at Thames for like 3 years. Amazing experience again. Like learned so much from that gym. Great coaches there. Met amazing people. Some of my best friends are there. Again, still being able to see like the seminars coming in, like the level 1s and the level 2s. And we had like the gymnastics start to come to Thames, and it was just real like, I'm just soaking in everything, absolutely everything. Then we had this pleasurable thing called coronavirus come along and
beautiful,
fuck it all up, right? Obviously, like I think for so many people in the world at that point in time, which is kind of like almost like a deciding factor of, am I going to carry on with what I'm going to do? Am I happy doing what I'm doing? You know, and like I think everybody went through a massive change at that point, including me. I went to another gym, went to CrossFit Bermondsey. Again, just another place where I learned so much and met even more incredible people. Like Ian.
Yeah, Ian is a lovely guy. Like,
Like been there for me since I've known him, and I think we were on the same page when we had the Girls Gone RX competition. We had a team from Thames go to Bermondsey. You know, come lunchtime, he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Coaching my people." He's like, "We're going to the pub." Just like, let's go. 10 minutes, like a couple of pints of Guinness in between. I'm like, this is places. This feels like home. So just again learned so much there, and like managed to grow as a coach, and just you know, develop so much, and again with the best people around. Like everywhere I've met, I've always had people to learn from and just become real good friends with. You know, and I feel like that's the best thing about CrossFit, is that everyone's on everyone's on the same page. You know, you get your little different groups of people, but like at the end of the day, we were all there for the same thing.
Yeah, everybody wants to get better at something, right?
Everyone wants to get better at something.
Yeah.
Then from Bermondsey, headed over to Dawn.
Yeah, and we've got all these years of you learning and keeping your
Yeah,
ears and eyes
you've got
open,
that.
and you just dumped it all on the new Dawn members who
The
are
best version of myself, man.
which is amazing. Yeah, and I think it's fair to say for everybody really that you know, since you've been part of Dawn, it has really kind of, I think two big things that really helped us in the last year was and they are linked, is you joining Dawn as head coach, coupling with obviously the level method, which is something that we've all spoken about and everybody's been part of that. You know, especially with the level method, it was something I've been sitting on for almost 2 or 3 years. I've known about it. We just never had the opportunity to actually just afford it, because it's quite pricey to kind of set all the systems in place, and there's a lot of money up front that you need to do. But secondly, it was also like it's like we weren't right for it. You know, we weren't ready for the level method at the time. We tried quite a few different things, and I remember we had early days of us actually talking about, you know, you coming over and having conversations. I was already toying about this level method again. Had a meeting with Ian beforehand, just like a get together of gym owners in London, and dropped that. I was thinking about level method, not knowing he like Bermondsey does the level method, and he just went like, "Hey, just do it." He was like, "Don't even think about it, just do it." And then knowing that we had the discussion about you coming over, knowing that I already had a coach that kind of experienced the level method, kind of like just signed the deal. Like, it was something that I was like, okay, we've got somebody that's been through this and we can run it. But I think both the level method and you joining has really lifted Dawn for us, and we're just super thankful. And you know, we really enjoy having you there. Like, everybody's still bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. You know, everybody hangs on to every word you say. I'm sure that's going to all disappear in a few months' time. Like,
they're good.
yeah, whatever, James. But for now, it's amazing. It's an amazing experience, and I think we're all benefiting from that. Obviously, knowing more about James now, we're going to start talking about the Open, and it's only about 4 weeks? Is it 4 weeks?
I
I think it's about 4 weeks, yeah. So it's about 4 weeks out.
Weekend of Feb.
And there's a couple of new things. It's probably going to be the first year where there's only going to be 3 workouts. Was it 3 workouts last year?
Same last year.
But it didn't count last year because we all did it in garages.
Not everybody could do it. So
So I think it's going to be the first time that it's going to be really the way we both grew up with an Open and experience Opens. And I think for the majority of our Dawn members, it will be their first Open. You know, because there's so many people, lovely people that we actually gained during the lockdown periods and this on and off that we are super thankful for. But they've never had the opportunity of actually feeling what an Open should feel like, you know, and getting that kind of camaraderie and, you know, and just the fun around this is what CrossFit is all about. This is what we've been working so hard on to come and like show where we are at, you know.
I'm getting the messages come in just like, James, am I ready for the Open? Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Yeah, and I think that's I think that's something that we really need to drive home, is that the Open it's your time to see where you are. So you have to take part to kind of know where you are. But we know what people are like. You know, there's always that kind of that fear of, you know, am I going to let myself down?
I'm not going to be able to do it, and it's like, that is going to happen, but.
And we'll work around it. And there's going to be plenty of days that we're going to do it. And we're going to talk a little bit more, perhaps not if today, maybe today, but talk about how we're going to run the 3 days and like ideas that we have. Thinking about an Open for us, and obviously you've experienced quite a few Opens. What would you take away from an Open? What should people think about when they think about the Open, and how can we put them at ease?
I think the best thing to think about when you're doing your first Open is that, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be things that you've not done before or just not experienced, like even just the general intensity of the workout. That's a hard thing, right? Everybody always does better in the Open than what they're doing in their training outside of it, right? With all the members in the gym doing the same workout, but like with the vibe of the Open is a different beast altogether. You're going to be pushed harder than you've been pushed in a regular class. Hands down. Like, if you're not being pushed by someone else, you're pushing yourself. But you're going to be pushed by not just one person, not just 2, but the whole gym to do as well as you can. And that's even if you take 10 minutes trying to get a double under.
That's right.
You know, you'll get the double under.
Yeah,
Like-
we see that a lot where people get their
Yeah.
first movements. They've been working on something and just not getting it.
Yeah.
And then the open comes and it's like the stars align and people get that first double unders. They get their
Yeah.
first push up or even a first pull up. First muscle ups is always a huge one for
of
people.
course.
That's been
Yeah.
on the brink. And then an open will just push people to kind of get those
Yeah.
through.
Like you'll PB your clean after you've just done a horrendous workout of dumbbell squats and burpees, you know, like that's the intensity, that's the vibe, that's the you're tapping into the part of yourself that you don't get throughout the rest of the year training, just because of the atmosphere, the people around you, that everyone's cheering for you, like you're cheering for everyone else, everyone's on your side. There's no you know, there's no it's a competition, but there's no like harsh competitiveness between you and like, you know, I'm gonna get better. It's just like, no, I want you to get better than me.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try my hardest to
gonna,
get better than you. You know, like there's no like, you know, would you call it hard feelings or anything like that? And it's just you just go in, you give it everything you possibly got, more so than the rest of the year. And you'll have an absolute blast doing it.
Yeah, I think that takeaway for us is like any opens that we've done at Dawn before. It's always been a great environment, great vibe. People do push and they do hit their PRs, but it is this where people just raise their game. I think that's the common theme where people literally just take that next step up, and then coming out of open super motivated and understanding what they can actually achieve. And then for a lot of people, it's just also their glory moments, their glory weeks for putting in years of effort, because we do have a lot of athletes that would just come in day and day out, just chip away at those little things, you know, and it can sometimes can feel a bit demoralizing when you attend, you know,
like
gymnastic session after gymnastic session or lifting class after lifting class, and your numbers are just not coming up, and you kept on being tweaked at and say, oh, maybe you're doing this wrong, you're still doing that. But on these days, you know, it's when those magical moments happen, you go like, oh, I've got this, like I've PR'd this clean. And that kind of sets people up for at least another 4 months after the open, like really showing up and go like, oh yeah, I need to better myself and work hard.
Yeah, like you got that, what was it? Success is built up of tiny little things that you do on a consistent basis. And like, just for us, like that happens to be over a wide, broad range of different things. But like over the course of the year, you do everything a lot.
Yeah.
And like, you have to think of the whole year's worth of work you've put in to get your first double under, like all those single unders you've been doing, getting that capacity with that jump rope, like all the pull-ups you've been doing, like for strengthening up that first muscle up you're going to get, you know, like it's very hard. It's very easy just to get lost in what you've been doing in the last couple of weeks and you forget about all the hard work you put in for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's right.
Until that moment comes round and you're like, you've forgotten about all of those times, like, and you're like, oh, the last week of training has been terrible. Oh, the open's coming up, all this stress, and it's just like, just chill out.
Yeah.
Like, you've put in the work.
Yeah.
You're going to push harder than what you've ever pushed before, regardless of what you feel like currently. Get yourself signed up, come to the gym and just have the best time,
down.
the best 3 weeks. Like,
absolutely.
It's super worth it. And you know, like those 3 weeks, it's only 3 weeks out of 52 weeks of the year, right? They're going to probably be your best training days.
Yeah.
Like in terms
and even
of
the training days between the open is like everybody's eyes are on the next week's you know, announcements and yeah.
And you're like, what movement could be coming up? Oh, we haven't had this yet. I better practice this like early on in the week. Yeah. It's killer.
Yeah. And I think it's a fair point that you mentioned. You know, it's consistency over all of those amounts of weeks. And then, you know, I think if that's something that we can take away with members is, you know, even if you're just a new joiner, if you've only joined in the last, you know, 4 months or 3 months, don't be put off by the open, you know, because this inevitably is going to be your first open, your first line in the sand, and hopefully you'll be able to recognize the value of putting a year's work in, which I think is not just to Dawn, you know, compliment to Dawn, but also to CrossFit in general. This is not a 6 week program, right? This is not a 6 week six pack Men's Health magazine kind of, six steps
if it
towards.
was, I
if it
know,
was,
really
we
good.
would have had six packs. But
Yeah.
but it is also just about like this is a way of life, and I think like if you've been at Dawn for longer than 3 months, you understand that. You understand that this is a way of life.
Yeah.
It's and part of life is also there is these seasons of our younger members will really be pushing hard and wants to compete. We've got a couple of new joiners who's really eager to compete. And then we have the crew that's just, like they've got seriously stressful jobs, and just need a place to go and just let off steam and just become a better version of themselves. And then we've got the older crew that go, we just want to survive. We just want to be able to squat into our 60s, but for all of us, the Open has something where we can go like, oh yeah, this is a moment to prove ourselves.
Yeah, it's great. I've had a couple of members message me just like, dude, I've done 2 CrossFit sessions. Am I ready for the Open? I'm like, yeah.
Get
stuck in, do it. Sign up, man. Let's go.
Yeah, get the bug.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
Like, you've got to have a place where you start from. Everybody's got a starting place. This gives you the opportunity to give you the best starting position of all, and that's with the whole CrossFit community across the whole world. Like with the level method, having those initial assessments like is great. It gives you a good idea of where you're at in your own fitness. Like why don't you want to see where you are in the whole world, to see where where you're starting, and then to see where other people are starting, because there's always going to be someone who's above you. There's always going to be someone below you. If you're the last person on the list, take pride in that, and then next year
you'll be the second last, or
you'll be the second last. Yeah, exactly. Right. And like I know for damn well that you're going to be there the next Open.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can agree to that. For me, it's like I think I've done my first Open in 2015, so a year after you.
Yeah.
Where I've really done an Open, like actually registered and did it.
Yeah.
And I've improved every year, believe it or not. And I'm way older.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be doing better, but it just shows you how shit I was when I started.
Yeah.
But and there is moments for me. I remember 2 Opens ago, just before the lockdown. Not only did I get my first muscle up, I think about a week before the Open, but in that workout, I strung 7 bar muscle ups, and I still have a video somewhere where I was just so elated, so glad, and just the relief, you could see it. Like once I got that first one in, because everybody's watching, I dropped down and I'm like, oh, you can literally see just this pressure drain from me. And then I go like, wow, now we're in it. Now we got to go for it.
I can't remember what year it was. It was 7 muscle ups, and then it was like a 50 wall balls and then a shitload of double unders.
Yeah.
I remember like came into the gym, let's go. Like warmed up the muscle ups. I was doing a couple in the rings. I was like, yeah, I'm ready to do the muscle ups. Timer goes 10 down to 3, 2, 1, go. Didn't get 1 muscle up for the whole workout. I was just like, I literally just been doing them in the warm up, used them all up, like wall balls and double unders for me for like the next however long it was. Like, just so things like
moments,
that. And it's like, I know that I could do it. Like, I didn't get a score for that workout. I don't know about you, but I've always been one and done.
I've always been a one and done. There's no revisiting it. Like, I don't have the energy for it. I don't have the mental energy for it, because by the time we used to do them on Friday nights, which this year, guys, we're going to move it to Saturdays, and we'll speak more about it later. But we've always done Friday night lights. And from the moment they release the workout till Friday night, I'm shitting myself. Like literally, I'm just an absolute idiot to talk to. Like, and I'm trying putting this face on. I'm listening to everybody, all these people moaning at me as a coach. And I'm going, yeah, no, you're gonna be amazing. And I'm just down talking to myself, going, oh my fuck, you just stop doing this stuff. Go and do Zumba or whatever. And so once I've done it on a Friday night, the emotional release for me is so much. I can't build myself back up to a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, or try and squeeze one in on a Monday night before your scores need to be in. One and done, mate. Just
hats off for everybody who does it multiple times. Like, try doing it. Like, there was a couple of years where I was like, I'm gonna do the workouts twice. I think I get halfway through the first workout, and I'm like, I ain't doing this again.
We'll never do this again.
I'm not doing this again.
And I always had the situation like, so what if I go and do it again and the score is worse? I've just put myself through all of that for a worse score, or for 1 rep more.
For 1 rep more.
So it's just not worth it. I think maybe for some people, if that 1 rep is that first muscle up,
Yeah.
You know, or that one rep
Yeah.
is that first double under, by all means give it another go.
Yeah, of course,
But
yeah.
if you know you've left everything on the floor, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then to go back and just taste that suck again, it's not me.
I think there was one was like, there's just some horrendous open workouts. I'm
Something
like,
like
why
that.
would you ever want to do that
It's a-
again? Like, I love CrossFit, like, but you know, some doing the same
No.
workout like within a couple of days. Like, I mean, we're talking about our mental capacity, our own
Yeah.
mental capacity here. I love CrossFit, and like I've done open workouts which I've absolutely hated since,
Yeah.
again, because
Yeah.
I know that they're just a great test of fitness. But for me, like, I just need that little break afterwards. I'm like, okay, you just kicked my ass. Like,
Yeah.
I need to go away and work on this before I
Yeah.
try this again.
Absolutely.
And then some of them are just literally like, you know, you've got a load of pull-ups or something, and then you tear your hands, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, I literally can't
Can't
it.
do another one.
Can't do
Yeah.
it again. So I tend to now just know that I'm only going to do one and done, and I'll just give everything I've got in that time, because if my strategy doesn't work, like it's
We're going to
cool.
talk about strategy in a minute, but
Okay,
yeah.
like, yeah, I'm very much one and done, and I appreciate everybody who does it multiple times.
Yeah.
You're a better person
Hats
than
off
me.
to you.
Yeah. Let's take some good going for sure. But like you said, man, like if it's for a first time muscle up, like if it's for that double under,
Yeah.
if it is for that one rep to put you,
Because one rep because the way they program, you can jump
can
20,000 spaces
make a massive
by just getting one
difference, right?
muscle up in which nobody else in the world got on that day on that level.
Yeah.
So
Like,
so
if-
that might be worth it. But
If it was the one rep to get you to the is it the quarterfinals?
Yeah.
I think you're the quarterfinals, like, which are now after the 3 workouts, like, then
yeah, of course you're gonna go and do it.
do
But
it.
then you'll
like,
also be the type of athlete that has the engine and the capability and the
Yeah,
nutrition
yeah,
plan
yeah.
to do another one in 2 days' time and not
Yeah,
feel like
for
you've been absolutely thrown under the
yeah,
train.
for sure. Like, and for me, the social aspect of the open workouts, like, I want to work my ass off for however long that workout is, and then I want to hang out with my friends and drink some beers because we've just had a great fucking day.
Yeah.
And I want to eat some food,
Yeah.
like, enjoy the social
Yeah.
activities
Yeah.
afterwards. And like, for me, I like to drink a beer
Yeah.
every now and again,
Yes, we all do.
so
We
I
all
want
do.
to hang out with my friends and
Yeah.
work out and then have fun,
And I think, and I agree with you. I think it's also just and there's something special about the shared suffering that everybody on that same day knows exactly what you talk about from that day onwards. If you say 22.3, everybody will have a memory of 22.3 and how horrendous this was, and that everybody in the box felt the same way. It made everybody feel exactly the same way. It's that kind of shared suffering or that
Yeah.
shared experience that draws people together, and that kind of like, I think we throw the word community around a lot in
Yeah.
CrossFit, but I think that's when community forms, is when people have that shared suffering
Yeah.
and now sit afterwards. And it's almost like that Ron Burgundy meme where you go like, whew, things escalated quickly. It is that moment where everybody sits afterwards and goes like, wow, God, that was awful. Let's have a beer, let's have a drink, let's have a barbecue and let's enjoy that.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we did touch on prepping and I think everybody will have their own little rhythms and things that they do when they get nervous and prepping, and especially if it's not your first open, you've done opens before, there's little things that you would do and stuff. Is there anything massively that you do leading up to the open? Is there stuff you start focusing on more a month out from the open, just for you as a person, and then set that aside for you as a head coach? What would you tell the Dawners to kind of focus on a month out into the open? What do you think is the main thing to kind of like keep your head up?
Weaknesses, right? Things that you feel not struggle with. Maybe you struggle with them, maybe you don't. But skills. I spent all year trying to snatch as much weight as possible. Like I'm like, I know that I'm going to be fine if a snatch comes up. And I'm going to do my thing. But then, like, although snatches are quite a high skill thing, there's things like handstands.
Yeah.
Like
handstand press ups is my nemesis, man. Like,
strict handstand push-ups, man. Like they absolutely kill me. Like, and then there's like chest to bar pull-ups. I've been working a lot on those, and then like muscle ups and basically the whole gymnastics side of things. Like, as I said, I started out wanting to Olympic weightlift. So that's always been a passion of mine. And then it wasn't until later on, a few years later in the CrossFit, I was like, damn, I need to work on my push-ups, man. Like,
yeah,
you know,
these
I'm
kind of body
doing,
weight
like,
stuff is like,
I'm doing 5 push-ups in a workout and I'm like gassed, you know? So yeah, for sure. Like I would have a massive skills focus for me and just making sure that everything's like, I've built up the volume to be able to withstand the high rep gymnastic movements, man. Like I'm 90 kilos. Me swinging around on a bar is like, there's a lot going through that shoulder and also my hands as well. Like even just building up
reps on hands and
reps
stuff.
on hands. Like I know at the moment I get to about, managed to increase that now, which is good. But like I was getting to about like 50-ish reps, whether it was just in the kipping movement. So be it pull-ups, chest to bar, like toes to bar or something like that, any kipping on a pull-up bar, then my hands would rip. Now I did a workout the other day back at home, shout out CrossFit Portland Beach. Thanks Rich for letting me come and train. We did a workout, it was like 10 pull-ups, 10 calories on the Concept 2 bikes. That's 100 pull-ups.
Yeah.
Didn't tear my hands. I was massive improvement there. Like, so I'm looking forward to this year. Like the gymnastics things has kind of always held me back from completing some of the workouts, especially last year. So I feel like I'm ready
for it and gonna attack that.
Yeah. It should be fun.
So then thinking about these things that you mentioned, I think a lot of people can sympathize with hands and ripping hands. And this is something that we talk about. And again, since Level Methods got into the gym, where we've really kind of pulled back and go like, hang on, you're not going to be keeping anything until you've got a set amount of strict movements, which is, that's just huge for us in the gym anyway.
Game changing, man.
It's amazing how many members still want to squeak it in. I'm going to mention this. I'm going to mention this because it's fresh. It happened today. Obviously with the Level Method, that we are being like so focused on, we have to get a set amount of strict movements in before we go kipping. Today was another retest. It was our pull-up, upper body pulls retake. And Mihai went like, he filmed himself and we all made fun of him filming. He's like, I gotta show James I've got 7 strict pull-ups because he keeps on telling me I'm not allowed to do my pull-ups in the workout until I show it. But that's exactly what we wanted, right? So he's now focused. He got those 7 in today. I don't know if we've sent them to you.
He told me as soon as I came in the gym, man. He was like,
got them here,
I've done it.
So, and that's what we're looking for, okay? And again, I think you touched on a post again today as well, is hunting that virtuosity, which we kind of always forget about. You know, we forget, you know, we kind of always focus on intensity and, you know, there's that virtuosity, just doing the common uncommonly well.
That's it.
And that's something that so many people in CrossFit forgets about. You know, it's not about how many you can bash out. It's like, what do they look like?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly it.
Do people actually double take and go like, oh my God, that was the most beautiful press up I've seen in a long time.
I got a nice arch today.
You know what I mean?
Thank you very much.
Exactly. So there's those moments where you just go like, yes, I've done the movement, but I also made it look good. And I think that's where we want to work towards, right? Is that kind of virtuosity. But given all these things and that we are doing the people are prepping and we are talking about like hand care is an easy one for us when we work on streaks. But when those kippings are setting in, little prep things, little things that you know is golden nuggets for most people going into the open, things to look after, things to not all of a sudden do. I'm going to lead with one. Don't all of a sudden start a diet now leading into the open because you possibly, and this is for the blokes, because you possibly want to take your shirt off and you don't want to show a belly. So you're starting to crash diet between now and the open. It's probably the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you just like, you know, you're eliminating all your energy. You're not going to be performing to the level that you want to perform leading into the open and getting those gains in the next month. Anything else that comes to mind for you?
It's basically like, what have you been doing for the last year? Why are you going to change that?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Right before you're doing the open? Because that's not the environment that you've been training in. Like your best training days have been in an environment probably where you've been eating more food because you've got the energy. So your workouts are better. Continue your solid base of what you've been doing. So you don't need any drastic changes or anything like that. It's just like continue as you were. Like if you feel good, like by eating this much food, then like you're only coming in to do one workout. You don't need to carb up for a 10-minute workout. When have you ever done that last year? Unless it's been a Sunday and you're coming in Monday morning and it's been like an accidental carb up on the Sunday.
It's Sunday,
you know?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It was a big Sunday, and I feel guilty. So here I am on a Monday.
Yeah, like I feel in terms of prep for the Open, there's not a lot you need to do. Like I have a little bit of a thing with Open prep. Like what is the Open?
Yeah.
It's a test of 3 CrossFit workouts.
Yeah.
What have you been doing for the past year?
Yeah.
CrossFit.
Yes.
Like you're already prepped.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you've been doing it for the whole year. You don't need to prep for like a week before, like
That's
2 weeks
right.
before. Like you should have been prepping for the whole
This
year.
is what you should be
like,
doing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know, if you came out the Open the year before, it's a little bit different for first people, but like, you know what you sucked at in the Open last year. You're probably going to hammer that for the next few months until you've got like, you know, a little bit of capacity there. You got better already.
Yeah.
Like the next time it comes around, so you know that you're going to be smashing out double unders in the next Open.
That's
so
right.
in terms of like drastic prep, there shouldn't be any.
And I think it's fair to say that like we're taking care of the programming. Programming always leads up to the Open, right? So we happen, and I think people have realized in January leading up, like it's a lot more gassy stuff. There's a lot of quick sprints coming in. There's a lot more things, getting ourselves ready for those kind of like quick sprint gassy workouts. So trust the method.
Yeah,
trust the
of course.
programming.
From a
just
programming
show up.
style
Yeah.
of things, like you can get deep into the programming side of things and being like, yeah, the programming should essentially revolve around the Open. Like you're going to build a little bit more of an engine, you know, because you probably would have been focusing on strength through the previous part of the year. But for people who, you know, come to the gym to work out, like they're not thinking about the programming or the cycles within that programming. Like some people are, right? They'll ask questions, they'll know where we're at, and like obviously with the level method it's quite clear and like precise. We've been working on, ironically, skills. A lot of gymnastics, our upper body pulling strength, because you know strength is built over a long period of time. A skill can be learned quite quickly. You know, so like the skills side of things is obviously coming up a lot more along with those short sprint type. You need to learn how to hang out of your ass and do this.
And then hold on,
and
hold on for a while. Just hold on to it.
But in terms of like members doing specific prep, that's us doing that for you.
That's right.
You just need to come, have a good time and enjoy it.
And I think the one thing that if people want to do, and they do want to feel they want to do something, is like finish your level method. If you've got 2 or 3 things outstanding on your level method, get those done. Now
There's
we've got
your
a
prep.
There's your prep.
It.
Get that done. Have a color, because once you have a color, all the programming makes so much more sense, right? And I think there's still people that's like, you know, they're so close to wrapping it up. They've just got like 1 or 2 little things that they haven't finished off. Get that done this month. Have your color before the Open, and you know, and hopefully that will kind of set you up also. And that would just prove to you whether you should be doing the Open RX or scaled or where you're at. So I think if there's anything that is in your ability to change or manipulate or influence, it's to kind of like just finish up your colors.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. Get them done. Like you'll benefit way more from the programming because you'll have a solid base to come in on, and you'll know where you are. You'll know where you'll be able to push to. You know where you have to kind of rein yourself in a little bit and be like, maybe I need to look pretty for this workout.
And that will keep us injury free leading into the Open anyways, which is massive for us, right?
Yeah,
so many people
sure.
in this last hurdles kind of like push a little bit too hard in an Open gym, kind of like lift a bit and then walk it. And I'll put my hand up, like I've been there, I've done that before, like doing absolutely zilch throughout the year and then start ramping up mid-December for a Feb Open. And Alessandra would joke about that because she's seen me pull my back and knees and everything in Opens just because I'm like, I've done nothing for a year and expect to just show up and go like, hey, let's see where it's all going to be.
CrossFit in like a month.
So I think that's game is like, if you have your colors, you can stick to the programming. At least we know we're not going to hurt ourselves going into the Open, and we'll be as fresh as we can be, as well prepped as we can be going into the Open. What we can establish is don't do anything rash and weird for the Open. Just keep sticking to what we're doing now. Get ourselves ready.
Do what you're doing.
And
you're on track.
Yeah, and then quick one: how do we register? So people are asking all the time. You know, how do I register? What should I be doing? Is there money involved? How would we register on that?
So all you need to do, open.crossfit.com. It comes up with a page that says it all starts here, which it does.
Yeah.
Click register. You get yourself a little profile, set your little profile picture. There's like some stats you can put in. You can put in like your deadlifting things, and you create like a little athlete profile for yourself. I think I've got a cheeseburger as my photo. It's been there for like about 9 years or something. So yeah, get open.crossfit.com, get yourself registered. When the workouts get released, it gives you all like the brief, it gives you all like the movement standards. There's little videos that come up to tell you kind of what you need to be doing, how to set up for the workout. Obviously, we'll get you covered with that.
Yeah.
All of our coaches are going to know how to set up for the workout, like what the movement standards are, how we're scoring. Yeah. So all you need to do is get set up. Then you can put in your scores, and then you get your leaderboard.
Yeah.
I think you get till like Monday to register your result. Mm-hmm. And then us as an affiliate will go through and just, confirm everything, and make sure you're not cheating.
I think but that's worth telling. Okay, it's probably the one.
We should probably touch
it's
on
the
that.
one time of the year. Let's quickly talk about that. It's the one time. You all know this, but maybe you don't know it. But if you've been shaving reps at Dawn, I can pretty much guarantee you every coach knows who you are.
We know who you are.
We exactly know who you are. We don't like to name and shame in a class, okay? Because it's not good for the community. But we count. When you think we just walk from person to person during a workout, we count reps. We stand there. And if you think you've just done 100 double unders, and we know for a fact you've hardly done 60, yeah? We know that. And here's the problem. On game day at the Open, there's a judge.
You got a judge,
and there's somebody standing right in front of you counting every single rep that you do.
Yeah.
And I think that's always when you see maybe the guy or the girl, that was always the highest performer in the class, aren't necessarily number one in the gym at the end of the Open, right? Because the little ninjas in the back, they've just been doing their little work. They show up on the day, and they're used to good form and virtuosity. And they don't get no rep with dodgy squats.
Yeah.
And, no chin to bar pull-ups. So that is the moment for you. If there's ever a bit of like incentive to kind of just, this is what you could do for the next month leading up to the Open. Don't cheat in a workout. Just
you're in the spotlight.
Get the work done.
You're under the magnifying glass. We can see it. Like this is where it's your chance to own your workout and, just obviously do your best you possibly can and have some integrity.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
In those reps.
I don't think we're giving anything away just talking about what Open's going to look like this year at Dawn. Like we used to do the Friday nights. I mean, and something that's not to be discussed is the standard of heating in our gym right now. But Friday nights are really cold, right? So we've got to move it. We're going to move it to Saturdays. And still going to be in a class format. We'll probably open up the numbers to the classes. So it'll still be in a class format that you'll book in for your hour slots. There'll just be more spaces. And it'll be still pretty structured. So if you have plans on a weekend, you can't necessarily make it on the Saturday. There will be one or two classes on the Friday evening available for you to kind of slot in and get it done. Or perhaps if you've been away for the weekend to pick it up on a Monday night. We always had like a little sweep up session on a Monday night at 8 p.m. to kind of get your bits done.
But you should cancel your plans and come to the gym.
You should do that unless you've purchased a plane ticket somewhere. There's really no reason not to be at the gym on the Saturday.
Oh, and if you've purchased a plane ticket somewhere, get to your local CrossFit gym because they'll have you.
Exactly, and that's what we've done before. And there's something for any members that hasn't done the Open before is because it's worldwide. If you go on holiday, we've had members before that will go and hunt down a CrossFit box somewhere. They'll get a judge. They get their paperwork, just a picture of their paperwork sent to us, and we can still get them signed off on it.
Sure.
So there's absolutely no reason why you cannot take part in the Open.
Yeah, there's no excuses.
Excellent. James, thank you very much. And it's been amazing. Guys, we're going to try and hit these formats again now that everybody's been, we've had a couple of weeks off. Our film crew guys had COVID, and then we had COVID, and then it was New Year's. And here we are now. So we're going to try and keep the same standard as before. We're going to be posting one every other Friday. It'll be a bit more of a longer format. by all means, let us know if there's anything you guys want to find out more about, if there's anything you want to know, and then we can address that and we can actually make this a lot more interesting for you guys. James, thank you for being on our first official Crack of Dawn podcast. And again, just thank you to Jose, who does all the filming and all the work at the back end. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Guys, and we'll see you soon. That's it. Done. That was easy. I like this way more than our old way of me just going. Fuck! I forgot that again. Like,
You are more relaxed.
yeah.
Yeah.